Hello, my name is Thomas Karbowski, and I'm here for the final project. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So first things first, we're going to go module, direct foil design, and then we are going to go over to foil, and then NACA foils. We're going to change this to NACA 2415, and we're going to make this have 250 panels. So we're going to click OK, and then find the name. And then we're going to make sure the center line is turned on, and we're going to just add a little symbol here just to make it a little bit easier to see. From here, we're going to go to module, and we're going to do XFoil direct analysis. And then now that we're here, we're going to go to analysis and do batch analysis. So we had to make sure that we included the Reynolds numbers that are going to be for our wing. And so once we do that, once that's added in, we can go over here and make sure you have from 0 turned off. And then we obviously want our analysis range to be from -5 to 15. So what we're going to do is we're going to include it just a little bit outside of it so that hopefully the numbers run a little bit better. So we're going to do -6, 16, and then we're going to do analyze, wait for this to load. And okay, so now we have the analysis complete. We can close out of this. And you see our nice little data here. Then from here, we're going to go over to module and do wing and plane design. And then we're going to go to plane and define a new plane. We just need the wing, so we're going to deselect fin and elevator. And then we're going to go to define. And then we want this to be 1, and then 1, and then we also want the other one to be 1, and then we want this to be 0, and this to be 0. There, we're going to make sure that this is our NACA foil with, we want this to be an aspect ratio of 10, so we're going to set this to 5 meters. And then that's our wing right here. We can go ahead and then save this. And then from here, we're just going to name this AR10 for aspect ratio 10 wing. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Next, we are going to go over to analysis. We're going to define an analysis. We want to make sure that this is set to 50 meters as per the instructions. And then we want to make sure that our analysis method is LLT and that we have that Reynolds number. From here, we are going to go over to make sure sequence is on, and then we want to make sure that we have that required range with from -5 to 15, changing 1 degree at a time, and you can see we get those numbers when everything works out nicely. Then from there, we are going to just show that you can see all this really cool stuff with XFLR5, and you can take a look at that, even animate it if you wanted to see it going through the different ones. But anyways, from here, we can now go over to this, and you can see our data, which we have CL versus our alpha graph, and then we have CL, change this a little bit. We have our CL CD versus alpha graph, and then we have our CL one, but we want to change this to define graph settings, and then we want this to be CL, but instead of, or we actually want this to be CD, and then we want this to be versus alpha. So now we have our CD versus alpha graph, and then we're going to come over here and change this one, and go define graph settings, and we want this to be our efficiency versus alpha. Perfect. And there you go. That's good. That's what we're looking for. And then those are our graphs that we need from here. So once we have these, we can then go over here and export the graph if you want to for when we're doing our work in Excel. And then from that, we can now go over into this one and get our information that we need. We want this to define the graph settings. We'll make sure it's reset, have everything where it's supposed to be. And then now that we're here, we want to make sure that this is at 5 degrees for angle of attack. And then we're going to reset it, so now we're good. And there's a couple things that we have to look at. So for starters, we're going to go over here, define graph settings, and we're going to look at the local lift coefficient, which is right here, and then we'll click OK, and perfect. That's what we're looking at right here. And then next, we're going to go over the same thing, define graph settings, and we're going to look at our induced angle, which is right here, what I had before shown up. And then also, we are going to look at our induced drag coefficient, which is right here. I want to click OK, which that should be good, and that's everything that I believe this was asking. So thank you again for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video.